Dead Air Wolverine is kind of the industry leader for suppressing the AK platform.
And I mean, I just think that industry leader for an AK can. That's like saying that you're the industry leading nipple ring maker for people with 3 nipples. Who gives a shit?
What's going on, guys? Welcome to Whiskey and Windage, the two-way podcast for the people, by the people. I'm your host, Mike, joined by my co-hosts, Adam from Silver Bullet and Matt from Burning Powder. Guys, what is going on?
Oh, man, I'm so excited, dude. I am freaking pumped, bro. This is going to be a great show.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I mean, you know, we dropped a teaser a little earlier, you know, the weekend, but, you know, we just got to go ahead and say, you know, the homie KB, Kevin Brittingham from Q, is in the house. So he'll be joining us a little bit later. But before we jump into that, man, let's go ahead and hit with the 2A news.
All right, guys. Well, we all know Pew Party is next week, March 23rd, Waxahachie, Texas.
Yes.
The trio will be there along with a lot of other content creators and a lot of major companies. Silencer Shop is powering this one. They're the big sponsor. I believe Q Firearms will have some reps there. I believe Jordan will be there for Q at least. And who knows who else? Maybe we'll find out. Maybe.
Stoked on
that would
Q
be
Party,
cool.
dude.
Yeah, so that's next week, guys. Also, with that, there also is the gathering that PSA is running, that weird thing up in South Carolina. That just a weird name. It's like something that people, like a Renaissance fair, people that play those card games would go to. But I mean, cool. It's all of them, guys. But PSA is hosting a big show up there in South Carolina as well. Then after that, we got our boy Clay, Kalash Bash, coming April 13th to 14th in Eagle Lake, Texas. So that's going to be a big one. Shout out to Clay and the homies over there. And then we both know we got Southeast Range Day coming in May. That's going to be a great one as well. I believe it's May 10th and 11th in Georgia. So that's going to be a great one as well. I believe.
Yeah, dude, actually, they're going to be on the show next week.
Yes.
So we've got the homies. We got the homies Jason and Duke. Going to jump on. The third man of their trio was out, couldn't make it, but we get the down and dirty on that, man. It's going to be a really cool event, and the training, you know, the training is unlike anything else in the area that you can go get in a weekend. So,
for sure,
definitely something everyone needs to look up.
Yeah, so check them out as well. Then we have the NRA show in Dallas, May 17th through the 19th. So that's the one that yours truly will try to go his best to go to. I know Mike might make an attempt to it. We'll see. We'll do our best, but I'm really going to try my best to get there. And those are all the major shows right now. I think there's going to be some more shows coming in June, July that we'll talk about. But right now, those are the major shows that are coming up. So, guys, go check your calendars, get your vacation time, find a show to go to. If Pew Party, I'm telling you, Waxahachie, Texas, if you're in the Texas area, come see yours truly. Come see our boys. We'll take photos with you all. We'll have a good time. We'll shoot some guns. It'll be a great time. One thing I want to do real quick, I want to give a shout out to one of our friends. All of us know him, Mr. Brandon No Chili Gilly. He was in a training accident. He is deployed right now over in Europe. He is okay. He got
Poland,
banged up.
I believe.
Yeah, we don't talk. We just say Europe. OPSEC.
I don't care because I'm OPSEC, BOPSEC.
Well, he's doing okay. He wasn't a major roller
kicking
accident.
with the poles.
He is. He has some surgery on his
learning
arm.
hockey and everything else.
But, hey, shout out to
awesome.
him. He's recovering right now. He is okay, but he did get beat up a little bit. So shout out to the homie, Brandon. Get better, bro.
Appreciate your service, bro.
Yeah. So
for sure.
last but not least, shout out to Lisa Garcia, friend of a show. She is fighting the good fight in Colorado right now with that assault ban that they've propositioned in Colorado. And I read through it today. It's bullshit. It's complete bullshit. It probably won't go through, hopefully.
Yep.
But basically it says you can no longer buy and sell assault weapons, quote unquote. But if you own them already, you can still go use them. You can still go to gun ranges and shoot them. And then there's this weird exemption. Military and law enforcement can have them, which law enforcement said makes sense for their jobs. We're like, well, military can have them as well. It's in the bill. Military can have their weapons as well since it's for work. And if they knew anything, you cannot Oh, you don't possess your military weapon ever. It's in an armory. You never get to take your weapon home. And we don't get to use personal weapons. We don't get to use personal weapons in the military. So the people that wrote
You
the
don't
bill,
get to take your M4 home, Adam?
No, or your NVGs.
What's
or
the
anything.
point of even signing up, dude? Oh, man.
Who's the boss up there? Let me talk to that guy. I'll get it all worked out.
Exactly. But Alicia is fighting the good fight. She's banding people together in Colorado to go fight this. So shout out to her. And guys, that's all I got for the 2A news today.
Man, let's go ahead and turn it over to Matt. Matt's got a kick-ass review for us, and I'm excited to hear about it, dude.
Hell yeah. So, everybody, I've got coming down the line a great review, another piece of freaking awesome comm block history. This guy up here, the Romanian AES-10B, that is the commercial import of an RPK. So, semi-automatic
Sure.
RPK.
Yeah.
It's
Whatever
the
that
big,
means.
thick girl of the AKs.
I'm not an AK guy. You could have said
I'm not talking to you.
649er, vanilla ice cream, bacon,
I'm not
chocolate
talking
chip.
to
I'd
you.
been like,
I'm
yeah,
not
cool.
talking to you.
Oh,
I
good.
made it out to the range yesterday to record some footage. Unfortunately, it is a public range, so there's some audio issues I'm going to try and work out. At the very least, I'll come back on Monday, get some more footage, and get that out for everybody to see the full-length review on Whiskey and Windage Reviews next Monday for y'all. So be on the lookout for that. Romanian RPK.
Hell yeah.
Romarm AES-10B.
Yeah, dude. And Adam, wasn't there something else you were going to say?
Was there?
We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
All right, guys, for the 2A spotlight of the show, we are joined by none other, the Lion King himself, Kevin Brittingham. KB, man, how is it going?
What's up? It's going good. How are you guys?
Oh, good, man. Welcome to the show,
Beautiful,
brother.
baby.
Appreciate you coming on.
Man,
Thanks
we're
for
doing
joining
good.
us.
I appreciate the favor. We called it in. It was like, dude, I have to hear from you, and I have to hear your story, and have to hear all this, and I can't wait to go through everything. But yeah, I've got a couple other questions that we talked briefly about, some questions and everything on the front end, but I've got some other ones that I want to ask that are candid, but they have nothing to do with firearms, so I can't wait to ask those.
All right.
But yeah, Matt,
Hey.
go ahead, brother, start us off.
Kevin, again, thanks for joining us, brother. We really appreciate you taking the time. I think most people are pretty familiar with your work with AAC, but what was Kevin's 2A journey before AAC? Like, how did you become involved in the industry? Like, what was your start in Second Amendment?
Well, I didn't grow up with guns.
I didn't either.
But while in college as a young adult, I had some exposure. And then, advanced armament all started when I shot some guns, had an opportunity to shoot some guns with Navy SEALs. And that was my first experience to firearms like that, something like would be considered an assault weapon or whatever. Anything other than a 22, really, or a shotgun.
Okay.
And I was amazed by the MP5 SD, and that just got me passionate about silencers. And that's kind of when it started. I didn't understand why all their guns didn't have silencers, and they didn't have a good answer. And that kind of started my journey. I was just passionate about it. I knew I didn't want to work in a factory like my father. I knew I wanted to do something that I loved. I thought that firearms would probably be a part-time job.
Yeah.
But by the time I graduated college, it was clear that it was a career for me.
Awesome.
Damn.
Now, if
And you went to boarding school, right? Were you boarding school?
No, my son went.
Your son goes,
No, I didn't.
or he
I didn't-
did.
I didn't grow up with boarding school money, my man.
Well, and if I remember correctly, again, I mean, you're a pretty public figure, but Jordan mentioned that he got his start at the same exact gun shop that you did. Wasn't that Bullseye?
Yeah, that's right. Bullseye in Atlanta.
Okay. So how did working at the gun counter influence you to become an entrepreneur and then start up AAC?
Well, I think probably my initial exposure into target shooting and shooting 22s, I had that interest. But once I had shot a gun with a silencer, Bullseye had a Class 2 manufacturer there at the time. And so I started going there regularly, then started working there, and then started advanced armament there, making silencers. And that's just kind of how it started. And then, 25 years later, the owner, who's been a mentor of mine for my whole adult life, one of his sons called me and said, we've got this kid, Jordan, that you should hire. He's got bigger aspirations of working in a gun store, and he's smart, and he's wonderful at sales, and he wants to work in the industry. And that's how we hired Jordan. That's how I met him.
Jordan's a good dude. I mean, when we talked to him and he was still up in New Hampshire, he was trying to figure out how he could approach you and say, hey man, is there any way I can do this back in the ATL? And he said, man, he lost a lot of sleep thinking about it. He was like, but then asking, he was like, it was actually easier to ask than it was to think about it. It just, hey, this is what it is, and you can still do the job, okay.
Yeah, Jordan, like a lot of the employees, I have a personal relationship with. I care a lot about him, and I love Jordan working with us, and I would hope that he does forever. But I would prefer Jordan be happy than be here if that was a choice. So, anybody that I've got a relationship with that is good to the company, when they come to some crossroad in life and they think they've got to make another decision, I'm generally completely supportive, and this will always be home if you want to go, and things don't work out the way you want, you're welcome to come back. Don't burn that bridge. And Jordan's given his position in the company and what he does in sales, and to me, Jordan is an advocate for the customer more than he's a sales guy for our company, which is important. Mm-hmm. And with Jordan's knowledge and passion and the amount of dealers that contact me about how much they like working with Jordan, it's easy for me to give him his way. If he wants to, wherever he wants to live is fine with me. If he's a part of this company, we're benefiting from it, and I'm grateful.
Yeah, dude, he's awesome. We're actually going to get to hang with him next weekend. I don't know if anybody else from your camp's going, but we're going to be down in Pew Party.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, a lot of guys.
Yeah, so we're going down there. We want to hang with everybody. We want to shoot all the fun guns and have all the good times. But
not trying to brag, but I'll be in Africa.
Hell yeah.
I mean, hey, you're the boss.
I mean, R&D, right? R&D.
That's awesome. Yeah, hell yeah, you do. So, Kevin, I want to talk about Bullseye again. So, from an entrepreneur standpoint, 'cause a lot of people like to start businesses. You obviously started AAC. You had the idea where you work at the gun counter. How long did it take you? Did you think about I want to start doing this? And were you still working the gun counter when you started the company, or how did that even come about? Because some people have this idea of, I want to start a company, but most people never take action. So what was from gun counter to taking action to building a company? How did that come?
Well, I think when I started and decided to do it, I worked the gun counter half the day, and then I did my thing half the day because it wasn't quite a full-time job. Awesome. And I don't know. Now that I'm 50 and I've been a part of a couple of entrepreneur studies, and I've told this on some other podcasts. So I was part of one at Harvard and part of one at Georgia Tech, and it would be from guys like me all the way up to Steve Jobs or Warren Buffett or Bill Gates, people like that. So the whole spectrum, mom and pop to the biggest companies in the world. And what they find is just a passion and a drive that most people, I think, just don't have. And I wanted silencers to become mainstream. And when I started making silencers, when I would go into a gun store and try to get a gun store to carry them, the majority of the time, gun stores thought they were illegal.
Oh,
You know, and I'm 50, so we're talking 30 years ago, how different it was than it is now, you know. And 30 years ago, I'd never even been on the internet. So we're just doing magazine ads, and I'm working shows, and I'm going to gun stores and doing that sort of thing.
Wow.
But I think it was a passion and a drive, and you know, and I realize it now because, you know, we try to farm a lot of employees at our company and grow them within the company, and everybody has the ability to move up and, you know, and eventually have my job if they want.
Awesome.
And it's amazing. You know, I would say 10 to 20% of people are willing to sacrifice to have more. And probably half the people don't ever want more. They just want their job, and that's what they want.
Yeah.
You know, and the other, whatever, 30, 40% feel entitled. And that's something that's difficult for me constantly with the company because, you know, I think my passion for the employees and the way I care about the employees, you know, you try to nurture them and help them. And it's a difficult, that's the hardest part for me is managing the people. And I really don't manage now. I've got someone that runs the company. I lead the company. But, you know, that shit hurts me when you know, employees I care about just keep stepping on their own dicks.
Yeah.
And they can't understand that, you know, rent's due every day.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. 3 years ago, you know, I was recently filmed, well, maybe 6 months ago, filmed a Netflix special. It's about to come out. And it's the first time I had to write like a resume in what I've done.
Oh, damn.
And,
Dude.
you know, I look at Reed Knight or John Browning or Gene Stone or you name the individual. And I think I've done nothing and know nothing. But when I started listing it out, like, I've had more military contracts in years in this industry. And
looks
you know,
good on paper.
yeah, so you know, so I know how bad I want it. I still wake up every morning without an alarm
Amazing.
clock.
Hell yeah, dude.
I'm glad you just made that comparison because my question for you is going back to the roots at AAC, you know, things that contributed the positive change for our industry, you know, and also cutting new paths with your innovation. And you know, and one thing I respect about what you guys do at Q and, you know, you specifically is, like I said, off camera. It doesn't matter. If you know the answer, you're going to fight for it. But if you don't, you're going to make sure you hire the right person so that they can find the answer or find, you know, the solution to the equation of the problem. And you spend your money. I've heard you say multiple times, you don't need any more money to live the rest of your life. You know, you're fine. Having more is definitely good, but you know, you're good. You're going to spend the rest of that money on innovation and positive change. So just with AAC, you know, silencers, Tyrant 9, still one of the all-time great 9mm silencers.
Yeah, we've never metered anything quieter than
Honeybadger, the original, the handy rifle,
Oh,
which
gee.
I saw Juan from Pew Culture had one, and I have been searching Gunbroker left and right. So one day I'm going to get one. But the 300 Blackout in itself, also being a founding member of ASA, it meant that much to you.
Yeah.
Out of all that stuff at AAC, and it may still just be the people, but, and I say that, you know, lightly, but what are you most proud of at AAC? Like in your span there, what accomplishment makes you, you know, you're the most proud of?
I don't know. I think we probably played a big part making sound mainstream.
Yep.
I'm very proud of the flash hider that we developed. That changed some stuff for the war fighters, and at that time that meant something. You know, between 01 and 11, a lot of my friends were doing a lot of dangerous stuff and shooting a lot of bad guys, and a lot of them died. And
Was that the Trilug?
it's the 3-prong flash
The 3-prong, yeah. Trilug is, yeah.
So there was that, you know, all the SOCOM contracts that we won for machine gun silencers. the M4 2000, we're doing, as you mentioned before we were recording, the 5.56 silencers. Well, we're about to release 2, actually, not just one. There's the lefty and the southpaw. And one's a flow-through can for the military for some contracts, and one is a silencer that I would want.
You made a flow-through?
Yeah, I mean, we did it actually 10 years ago.
Well, I mean, I know your thoughts generally on flow-through. I've listened, So
Yeah.
I get you got to appease, you got to
make the government happy, right?
You got to make Uncle Sam happy, but I'm like, oh shit, you knelt a little bit, you bent that knee a hair.
Well, it's I never know. Yeah, that's fair. I'm not always right, and I reserve the right to change my mind. But also, I'm not as rigid as I was when I was 25 or 30, and I think the government's wrong with this. But if they want to buy them, all right, we'll stop.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll make the best one there is.
Their money spends the same as mine, so I get it.
But I will say this: we developed it originally 8 years ago, and then we were awarded a contract, and we actually forfeited the contract. I decided not to make them, and they were for the 416. It just wasn't enough. In the end, the order wasn't enough for me to justify it, and I just told them no. And but we're making that can now, and the only reason is it's about 2/3 the weight, 2/3 the size, and about 1/3 better performance than the Huxworks can.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm not involved in that side with the military contracts and all that stuff, but generally what I've heard, and this is a wow moment for me. Generally what I've heard is, when you get invited to sit at the adult table and you actually get to sit up there with big government, you kind of do what they say if you want to keep getting paid. And it's just kind of crazy that you're like, yeah, no, I'm good on that one, but catch me on the next one and we'll talk again. It's like, man, that reputation right there just is
big dick energy.
Yes, it is.
It's not big Army. It's the SOCOM units, but I paid my dues there. My first contract with them was 25 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
I with those guys dozens of times, and this is when I decided not to, and it probably did piss someone off, and I don't particularly give a fuck. Like I don't. Yeah, it wasn't the right thing to do at the time. I don't think it was for them, but it wasn't for me and my company. And I have a responsibility to my employees and my company, just like I do them, and I take them both seriously. And they wanted changes that I thought were not the right thing to do, and I said no, thank you.
Hell yeah!
You gotta do what you want to do. I mean,
and I think it was the right call. But the Southpaw, the other can we're coming out with, is the can that I would want. It's the right can to buy.
That's the one I want.
But
that's
the
one I want.
Yeah.
I want it just because it's called Southpaw.
Oh yeah, he's
a lefty.
opposite-handed.
He's a lefty.
He's
so,
wrong.
yeah.
He's wrong-handed, so it's cool.
That's awesome. That's so cool, Kevin. With that being said, we love doing giveaways on the show, and it'd be really cool if maybe we could do a giveaway and maybe give our hashtag out. But maybe I'm jumping a little bit and reaching, but it'd be really cool if we could give away maybe a can that Southpaw can.
Yeah, let's give it away, and let's give it away either with or separately with a 5.56 honeybadger. So it could be
Well, we've got a weekly giveaway with a podcast, and then we do a monthly giveaway that combines the last 4 episodes. So if it's cool with you, dude, if you're cool with it, I'd love to give away the can this week, and then put everyone in the running that watches all of the shows into the month for the honeybadger. If you're cool with that.
Yeah, unless you can get Marty Daniel to give you like one of his nice bolt guns or something, you guys would prefer to have.
No, I'm actually in line for I'm in line for his new pistol, because obviously you've scared him out of the gas guns.
I love Kevin.
Yeah, so
We've never interacted before, but that's my dog, dude. I love this guy.
Having said that, what hashtag do we want to use right now for the Southpaw can? What hashtag do we want to use on this?
And I don't know. You can pick. I mean, if it's if it needs to be something for the can, it'd be like Q Southpaw, I guess.
All right, let's do
Q
it. So
Southpaw,
our hashtag for the can is going to be Southpaw. So everybody that's listening, this reminds me, the way we say this, it reminds me, I watch it every year, of like the Christmas Story, Little Orphan Annie with the decoder pin, and they're like, oh yeah. So yeah, our hashtag is Southpaw for this.
Hashtag Southpaw.
I'm sorry, what'd you say, Kevin?
I don't know. I was just thinking. No, it's fine.
Well, if you change, you reserve your right to change your mind. So if you want to change it going through, we can change it down the road.
Thank you. I think that'll be good. Southpaw's cool.
All right. Yeah, I mean unless you're going to give away,
Daniels would be better, but it's cool.
I don't know. I like it. So jumping through that, you know, I want to ask about the collector side of you. Oh, I know you're a collector, and I'm 42, so you're just a little bit older than me. But I think you had the golden age, because I was on the tail end. When I got out of high school in 97, I was on the tail end of, you know, we just had internet, but we still had all the magazines. We had Shotgun News. We had, you know, we had gun shows running around where you could still buy some stuff, but you were in the game a little bit longer at that point.
Out. I mean, you lost out. I mean, I'll tell you, to put it in perspective, and I don't know all the numbers, but in 2007, I calculated I'd spent about $750,000 on machine guns, transferable machine guns. And at that time, I sold half my collection for $2 million to grow advanced armament.
Nice.
And I still have everything since then.
Well, so when you sold all of that, so I'm thinking now, like in nowadays, I mean, you know, that's you know, that's just a handful of M60s at this point. Yeah. But you're a collector, and if I'm right, you were responsible for all of the sounds, the firearm sounds in Saving Private Ryan. Is that right?
That's correct. Yeah, Saving Private Ryan, Band of Brothers, Pearl Harbor, Black Hawk Down.
Have you won? And I haven't looked this far. I didn't go this far in research. Have you won an award for any of that kind of stuff, or like was that stuff award?
Well, Private Ryan, we won 2 Academy Awards for sound for that, but that was given to so Skywalker Sound hired me, and that's a George Lucas Stevenson.
Hell yeah!
And they got the awards, but yeah, 2 Academy Awards for sound.
Damn, they didn't like make you a replica one to keep for you. Like, damn, that's jacked up.
They didn't do shit for me.
You get a photocopy or nothing.
They gave you a paycheck. That's it, right? They paid you for your services, and that was it.
Yeah, I got a paycheck. The best thing I ever did, though, is I did technical consulting for Call of Duty, and that's how I got the Badger into Call of Duty, and that's probably the greatest gift I was ever given by any company like that.
That's super cool.
Guns like the Honey Badger, I think it's called the Chimera in the Call of Duty games now. Yeah. Guns like that are what's bringing up the new generation into the 2A, and whether they're using the right names or not, you know, that sucks for you guys, because you know you're not getting the full credit for it. But at the same time, I think that generation, the video game generation right now, knows a lot more 2A, honestly. And they're more involved than we are, than I am. My generation, not me, but my generation.
I'm very grateful. I think, you know, there's not too many 11-year-olds in the country that don't know what the Honey Badger is.
It's true.
Yeah. So Call of Duty's helped me to create a brand with that, and they can call it whatever they want now. You know, kids Google it. It's known as the Honey Badger in the previous game. You know, I would love for them to use the name, but they're not doing it out of fear or of me suing them, or you know that they wouldn't get permission to use it. They're doing it to have like plausible deniability that they're not copying guns, and that's why the original one looked just like Honey Badger, and now they make it look a little different so they can say it's not a real gun.
Oh, they have a Christine too.
Yeah, we don't have a Christine either, thank God. We better, but yeah.
Hell yeah.
So
go ahead, Matt.
Mike. Oh
no, go ahead.
I was gonna say, Kev, like I am also I mean I call myself the collector. I have a pretty wide collection. Right now I'm kind of focused on like commie and Cold War stuff. And so outside of what you do for business, your collection has always really amazed me. But if you had to pick out of all your guns, your personal collection, not just stuff that your company builds, like what is your favorite? Like what is your favorite rifle? What is your favorite pistol from your collection?
Stoner 63A.
Ooh,
I've got
Good
4
choice.
configuration. That'd be cool. And then
I've got 5, so it's cool.
my would be the Chinese Type 64 silenced handgun.
Wow.
Oh, the 63, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, oh my god, a Stoner 63. Like,
I bought it in 1997. So
dude,
that,
year I graduated.
the Type
Matt wasn't
64.
even born yet. Matt
wasn't.
wasn't even born yet.
Nope.
I was born in '89. Give me a
God,
break.
What a
Give me
baby.
a break. The Chinese Type 64 that's kind of an oddity choice. I respect that. It's not.
well, there's only 2 in the country. And
Ooh.
in the
That's
You
China-
street.
have one.
Chi-Com is hot right now. Like Chinese AKs.
You know what's
really
cool about-
anything Chi-Com is just off the
all-
chain expensive.
Oh, this is the cool thing about it. It's called the Chinese Type 64, but it's actually Czechoslovakian.
Yeah, I mean it's all based on a patent shared between
I
all
mean,
the
it's
communists.
the Chinese. They take everything, they copy it, make it cheaper. That's what the Chinese do, right?
That's how Adam got his sugar weasel back there.
But their communist weapons are really, really high quality. People are like, "Oh, China must be cheap and not well made," but that's actually quite the opposite with Chinese guns. Like Chinese AKs are some of the most collectible AKs out there. Their guns in general are just very, very high quality and very collectible. So that's a cool choice. I respect that. I respect that.
Thank you.
As long as they just, yeah, but I'm proud they're not DI guns. If they were DI, they'd be better. Sorry. Sorry, Matt. Hey, Kevin, so curious. So, like, I know you're a big collector, and you are probably one of the experts on all guns right now. We look at Stoner, we look at Kalash, we look at Browning, Maxim. These designs they've been around forever, and people have innovated them like you have. But we haven't changed these, like, the overall design of the guns, pretty much the same still. We've just innovated, made things better. Is that because these guys got it right, or is it just because we're lazy and we just kind of, like, there's nothing really new past that point? We haven't made anything that's really, I mean, you've made some innovative platforms based off theirs.
Not talking about your stuff. Not talking
No.
about Honey Badger. Not talking about
No.
Fix, but the firearms community in general.
Yeah, like, why?
I mean, I think it's because the metallic cartridge is 150 years old. So
We're
they had
limited.
100 to do everything. I mean, I think all we can hope to do now, still using metallic cartridge, is just, like we've done with the Fix, we just utilize material and manufacturing methods to improve things.
Yeah.
But
Are you?
I'm good at improving things, but, I'm not going to invent a lot of things. That's not my brain. But I think that's probably why it's stagnant. And then I think we're also very lazy in this country because the commercial market is so big and easy to be profitable in.
Yeah.
People aren't really hungry. The only reason we innovate is because I'm hungry.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we would just make the honey badger and I'd be really rich.
I just like how now, I guess you're getting wise in your older age, and you're just at the point with, financially and success wise, you don't give a fuck anymore, and now you start to open source a lot of shit, and you're like, you know what? Here's the answers to the test. Like, let's go.
I try. I want things to be better for everyone. I think it's better for the industry and our customer if we open source things that are an actual improvement. But, when I say those things, it sounds, it sounds more arrogant when you say it for me than I felt like when I said it. But it's not that it's just like, I've actually just had a lot of money most of my adult life. And not billions, but I don't live a very complicated life. I say that, and I live in Africa half the time and I have a plane.
Well, I heard you say you have to pick one side of your life. It either has to be work or personal that has to be complicated. You can't have both. So you've chosen your personal life to be less complicated or as least complicated as possible because you want the complication at work.
Well, I mean, I think, I don't know, psychologically or emotionally, I just can't handle it. I mean, that's the truth. It sounds weak and soft, but I put a lot into my work, and I think it shows to most people who are unbiased by my personality. You know, I do. Like, I pick the right thing or the innovative thing over money. And I think it leaves very little room for my personal life to be complicated. My personal life inevitably is complicated, so I've tried to eliminate all the anxiety and stress and complication out of that. And so my personal life is actually pretty simple. Like, I have a house in New Hampshire. It's the only house I have now in America. I drive a truck. I go to work every day. I leave at 7 in the morning. I go to work. And, you know, I generally come home, you know, later in the evening. And I don't do anything else here. I've got a 500-yard range here, and I'm trying to get some property now to build a 1,000-yard range. But I love what Chris Barrett's going through after selling their company, and he's super into Lamborghinis and Bentleys and all this shit. And he's living the life, but it's like, I've done it, and I just don't care.
Yeah, which boots, fur coat, and hat do I wear today? Because those are his favorites.
Champagne problems, baby.
Yeah, first world problems.
And to me, I wear a t-shirt and jeans or whatever, and, you know, flip-flops in the summer and boots in the winter. And
well, that's because you never know when the next freaking skate deck's going to roll up underneath you, and you got to do a trick.
Like my mentor was telling you about when I was still in Atlanta when I was young. I remember that I had Advanced Armament, and it was growing, and I was making some money, and he and I would go to lunch every week or two. And I've told this story before, but one day we went to lunch, and I was going to buy my first nice car. Like, I had some cash, and you know, I was still pretty young, and I wanted a car, you know, I don't know, probably to, you know, for like dates or whatever. And we're kind of getting on the highway, and he asked, and he always drove a Suburban, and he still does. And he owned a lot of stuff where we live, but banks also. But he was very understated for how wealthy he was. And especially now as an adult, knowing how wealthy he is, very understated. And as we're getting on the highway, we're passing a Mercedes dealership. And one of the cars I was looking at was like a Bravas Mercedes. And like, hey, are you still going to get a car? And I was like, yeah, I think so. And he says, yeah, you know what I think? And I think he's going to give me some advice. He's a smart guy. He's going to give me some advice on cars. And as we're turning on the highway and the dealership goes out of view, he's like, I think it's cool that I could buy that dealership. And he just drives on.
That's awesome.
He's
like, fuck.
Buy some stupid car to impress somebody. I could buy that dealership. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I was going to say, we were just at a car dealership last week I was with a car dealership last week with the wife, and we were actually at a Mercedes dealership. Funny story. And we were looking at everything, and I was sitting there I was fangirling out. I was taking pictures of the what are those things called? The
McLarens?
No, the Maybachs. The Maybachs. They had the SUV and the sedan version, and my little girl's running around like, Dad, buy this one. I'm like, why? And she's like, because it has pillows in the back seat. And I was like, the fuck you say? We'll just take the pillows from your bedroom and throw them in the back of this car. We ain't buying that car.
Well, I do think there's a lesson in that. You know, I would rather have a driver than a nicer car. I would rather have a chef than a bigger house.
I mean, you have a pilot. So
that makes sense.
So to piggyback off what Adam said about did people get lazy, I want to ask you, because I'm not very smart when it comes to this, but I've listened I've done my research. I hope it kind of shows, but listening to some things, talking about, I'm just going to kind of, I don't want to make this about the Q podcast, but you really need to bring this shit back because it teaches a lot of people a lot of cool things.
For sure.
But referencing, one of the Trey Knights, I'm not going to say which one because I don't remember. Stoner kind of got pissed because when he developed the rifle, it was for 308 or 7.62, and then once military went to 5.56, he was like, well, shit, if we were going to do this, why did I even do, I don't even need the buffer tube and the buffer and the spring and all this bullshit.
Yeah.
Is there a possibility, or have you toyed with the idea, or is that going to sacrifice recoil? I'm done when it comes to this. Without doing piston.
I want to say several things about that. Number one, Stoner was generally angry. He wasn't a very agreeable or nice guy.
Kind of like what you said. You woke up angry.
Well, no, I think he was different. I think I was just born to a couple of people that have a right to be angry and are very blue collar and just tough. I mean, it's just who raised me, probably. Mm-hmm. I think, because I see it with Ethan Lassard, the head of my engineering now, that he's in his early 40s. And he's probably the most brilliant person I know. He's definitely the best engineer in our industry. But he's a fucking cunt all the time. He was that way when he was young. But,
I almost want to change our hashtag to Ethan is a cunt, but we're not.
Yeah, he is. He's, and I think there's few people in this world that love him more than me or appreciate him more than me. And I don't say it even to be funny, but to really illustrate how impossible it is to deal with him. He is so fucking condescending, and he gets worse every year. He's grumpier. He's an asshole. And as I deal with Ethan, it's like he's so much smarter than everyone else. And every year he learns so much easier than everyone else, that it makes him hate people, that everyone's stupid. And that's the way Stoner. There's this story that, I had one of my godparents were Dorothy and Max Hutchison. So Hutchison,
man,
22.
He's royalty. He's fucking royalty.
In the AA-12. And so that's an interesting, correlation between me and the industry, I guess. But he told me he was at a meeting, or he was at a ceremony at Fort Benning with Stoner once. And they're talking about the M16, and there's a general on stage, and Stoner and Max are sitting on the front row. And he's talking about the weapon, and the weapon's just being introduced. And he says something, and Stoner just says, bullshit. And you're like, what? And the general keeps talking, and Stoner says bullshit again. He stops. He says, excuse me, Mr. Stoner, would you like to say something? He said, what I said is bullshit. What you're saying is bullshit. That's how angry Stoner was. And I think we have that with Ethan now, and I think that's where you see stuff that we develop. And even 8.6, it's so outside of even when we've had Stoner, Kalashnikov, Browning, Maxim, and no one's ever thought to do fast twist. And it's so obvious to Ethan, it makes him hate everyone else that they even ask him or question him about it.
To me, it's almost a broken record because, like I said, I do a lot of research, and it's not just you. So, not trying to give you all of the flowers. It's on a lot of people, but listening to faster twist, means more energy on target.
Yeah.
There are some drawbacks. Of course, there's always a drawback. You're going to have to contend with more spin drift. But if you are a shooter, I don't even want to say an advanced shooter, just if you're a fucking shooter, you can overcome spin drift. I mean, you've done it in Africa. It's a thing. But
drop, it's predictable, and you measure it, and just do it.
Yeah. I mean, but in reality, people get turned off by 8.6 when they think of holdovers, and they're like, oh, at this dope, I'm holding 48 over. And it's like, well, who gives a shit? The dope. If you know your dope and you know your holdover and you know your hold off, who gives a shit? Shoot the fucking thing and move on. If not, shut the fuck up and put the gun away.
I don't even think about spin drift at 300, and most people don't shoot past 300.
Yeah.
And I think think about when we thought rationally about solving problems, and I think that's probably where we're good. It's like all the hunting and all of the problems within the military are actually within 300 meters.
Yeah.
Excuse me. So we wanted subsonic, of course, but we want the solution for 300 meters and in. And so, one of our good friends, guy, I was just on a hunt with in Africa, Terry Hewen. He's a retired SEAL Team 6. He was the Captain Phillips sniper. He was the head of that. And he was a recce sniper in SEAL Team 6 for 17 years, and he never made a shot over 200 meters. So
I remember you saying that. And John McPhee said the same shit.
Yep.
Yeah, John McPhee's cool as fuck. Like, I have a bunch of, like, their ammo, their 70 grain Barnes 5.56 ammo for short barrels. Yeah. And I was in Africa, and I messaged John. He and I have been close for a long time. And I said, my man, I'm out here. I've got a 12-inch 5.6. I got the 70 grain Barnes. At what range on human-sized targets do you believe this is lethal? And he says, I can confirm to 435.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So, Terry, you talk to Terry and he's like, there's not a shot I ever made in Dev Group that I couldn't have made with my 10-inch 5.56. Yeah. And, so for us, it's not, and Terry a bunch of times is hauling around like a Mark 13 type gun. So a 301 mag long barrel, big heavy gun, guy. And he's like, I could have used a 10-inch 5.56 or a 12-inch 8.6 for every single shot I ever took. And we're talking, he was a Team 6 recce sniper during the height of the war. So from 01 to 11, he was in the whole time.
Yeah. And, I was going to say, I don't want to take away from what the Canadians did, but any of the good old Southern boys that hunt every season and sight those rifles in, again, I don't want to take anything away from what they did, but given the circumstances, these Southern boys, man, we could make those damn 2-mile shots too, because everyone talks about the shot that hits, but nobody talks about the multiple shots before that were off before the hit. And hey, not taken away, like, dude, that's awesome.
No, that's cool. Don Jr. and I are buddies, and he and his brother Eric. Well, and I'm
never heard of him.
Eric too. But they've done extreme long range for a long time, and so he could do better than me. But if I get 13 chances and you're at 2 miles, like, I'm probably going to be able to shoot you. Every other part of signature is, every part of signature is disguised at that distance.
Well, I have to give a shout out that if it did take, because we said this offline, so I'm going to say it online, if it takes KB 5 shots to hit at 2 miles, it's going to take Amy 4.
Probably.
So I got to give her the shout out because she was pretty happy she was shooting good. So.
Yeah. No, she, it is funny. We spend a lot of time to train, but, it's cool because who you're talking about, Amy Johnson at our place. So she's in charge of rifle production. Like, she's actually the boss and a bunch of work for her. But several years ago, she was taught to shoot accuracy for our guns. So, a certain percentage of the fixed rifles get shot at 100 meters. Now, 5-shot groups for dispersion, so for accuracy. And she's one of the 2 people that shoots that. And so she's learned to shoot. Yeah, so she outshoots most people. Yes.
Yeah, that's awesome.
From the looks of it, and from her advice, she will outshoot you and she will outfish you. So,
well, she'll definitely outfish me. That's no check.
All the dudes that think they're redneck, and I don't mean that as this is a term of endearment. Yeah, she's got you fucking killed.
Fishing wise, she has the belt at work. I'm pretty sure. So I had a Bass Championship wrestling belt made, and I think she's had it the entire time. So whoever has the current biggest bass in New Hampshire, gets the belt. And I
started following her basically off of fishing because I like to fish, but not like that.
Yeah.
And then when I found out she built rifles, it was like when I ordered mine, I told Jordan, I was like, I don't know if this is ever going to happen. But, you know, everybody secretly crosses their fingers and hopes they get KB elusive box art. But I also was like, hey, Amy said to request that she build this rifle. Now, she didn't know if she actually built it or not. But I told Jordan, I was like, dude, Amy said she wants to build this SD. So, like, please build it. And he was like, all right, I'll tell her.
Cool. Yeah, we got some bad women at work. But, yeah, I mean, Amy, when it comes to shooting groups and stuff, there's not a lot of people that are going to outshoot her. But we'll see. We'll see in Africa quick she is when it's shooting it. But, you know, she shot some animals here in New Hampshire, and she doesn't seem to have buck fever. So we'll see how it goes.
No, she just got a bear. She just got her first bear this year. I was pretty proud of her.
Yeah, that's cool.
I've never shot a bear, but we don't have a lot of bear in Nashville. So, you know.
Yeah,
we got lots of bears here in Idaho, and I never shot a bear.
Yeah, I think her and her dad were coming together. I think he was filming, and then the tree next to her. So that's pretty cool.
Shot Winnie the Pooh.
Hey, Kevin, I want to go back on something you talked about because I'm still active duty military. And, you know, right now we are changing our mindset to a LISCO environment, we call it. You know, urban combat, it's going to be linear fields. And you're right. The whole, like, making a 1,000-yard shot, really, it's going to be 150, maybe 50 yards in. And it's going to be really what we're engaging on. We're not engaging on these super far targets anymore. So, like, what I like about what you're, you know, and your guys' twist rates on barrels and stuff, I think that's an innovative aspect to it to get a shorter barrel because we've always been taught that, like, 5.56 has to be optimized at, a 16 or 18-inch length. And I think that's just, we're proving that's not the case.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think for that bullet, if you have a 20-inch barrel, it's best. But, you know, barrels continue to get shorter. And I think during the war, there was a lot of effort put into optics and projectiles and ammo. And the Barnes 70 grain that was developed for some of the SOCOM groups is an incredible projectile. And I've shot out of a 12-inch barrel animals at 400 yards in Africa and with a 5-pound gun. And it's been incredible. And I love the solid coppers, and I've got a lot of respect and love for Barnes bullets. But, I mean, if people will be honest, it's, you know, our goal was to do something like the boom box and have something that will kill anything that walks this earth inside.
I can't wait for that to come out.
With a short barrel and a lightweight gun, and then, you know, you have in a scabbard or a backpack a 6-pound fix in 6.5 or whatever that, you know, 16 to 20 inches, and that gets you out to 600 or 700.
Yeah.